is the second step of passage planning. The officer in charge of planning has to plot the track on the charts, indicating the true course for every leg, the dangerous areas and positions where specific duties are to be undertaken, such as ships reporting, VTS control, and so on. The long oceanic passages require an adequate route choice. Great Circle versus Rum Line. The Admiralty publication, Ocean Passages for the World, may help the master in this choice, but many variables have to be taken into account, often of a commercial nature. The following items are some of those that have to be included in the passage plan. Safe speed for any leg. Safe speed has to be decided for any stage of the voyage, keeping in mind international regulations such as COLREG. It will be decided in relation to the state of the sea, the visibility, the traffic density, and the proximity of hazards, all to be compared with the stopping distances defined for the vessel. Speed alterations en route and positions where change in machinery status is required. This can happen during a night passage or when tidal restrictions can lead to the decision of speed reduction. But the same action can be undertaken simply to comply with local regulations. Changes in machinery status are not only connected to these changes, but also with fuel shift. That is, when engineer officers change the type of fuel, for example, from marine diesel oil to HFO, heavy fuel oil. Course alteration points. A waypoint is the point that joins two legs of the route, so it is where the course has to be changed. But changes are immediate only in theory. In the real world, it takes a certain number of minutes for ships to respond to an ordered helm. So, the manoeuvre has to be started in advance in the so-called wheel-over point that has to be determined according to the manoeuvring characteristics of the vessel. In any case, course change performance has to be included in the manoeuvring booklet. Method, frequency and accuracy of position fixing, including primary and secondary options. The position fixing frequency depends on the proximity of the hazards, the sea room around the vessel, and the specific local regulations to be applied. The positioning is usually continuous when using GPS integrated with ECDIS, but secondary methods such as visual or radar bearings have to be set. Use of ships' routing and reporting systems, vessel traffic services and related frequencies channels. Every stage of the passage where TSS or other ships' routing systems are expected to be used has to be planned and marked. Positions reporting to shore-based stations and where the traffic is managed by a VTS are also to be marked by writing down all the frequencies and channels necessary to communicate with these radio support systems, both on the chart and on the passage plan sheet, after having looked them up in the proper publications. Ship's draft for different stages. Draft data for the different stages of the passage have to be marked on the plan, and the same has to be done for the under-keel clearance, that is, the minimum clearance required under the keel. They are decided by taking into account the depths of the arrival ports that can be found in sailing directions. In addition to all these items, special duties related to the protection of the marine environment and contingency plans for alternative action in the event of any emergency have to be considered. Landfall is one of the trickiest moments in a voyage, and so, when approaching the coast, especially a port, many items have to be taken into account, such as tides, currents and winds, port signals and voyage system, pilot and tug services and related information such as pilot embarkation, disembarkation point and channels for VHF communications, anchorages and berth arrangements, depth of waters, any type of hazard. Landfall and congested zones are areas where it is common to have the pilot on board. Sometimes pilots carry their own plans and the ship's crew should ask for a copy of them in advance, in order to try to amend their own plan and match it with the pilot's one as much as possible. The physical support for the voyage plan is usually a sheet with a tabular presentation where the entries are the various legs of the passage, but a lot of the information has to be marked on the navigational charts. Information on the charts has to be complete, but at the same time as short as possible, in order to keep the chart clear and immediately comprehensible for any officer taking over the watch. When using the passage plan ECDIS function, it is possible to have all the information necessary during the navigation on a single electronic support system, in particular when ECDIS is part of an integrated bridge system. Furthermore, the great number of ECDIS functions allow officers to work out a reliable passage plan in less time. The planning stage is probably the one where checklists are most useful in order to be sure nothing is forgotten.